What's up, everybody? Welcome on into our 2025 Masters Show. I'm your host, Riggs Tamburo, just riding solo today. So we're going to have some fun here. We're going to talk about the Masters tournament, previous winners, what to look for, and who's going to win this tournament, what this tournament entails, how this course plays, the specific golfers you want to target, the specific guys you don't want to target, because there is a lot to break down here. So with all of that said, if you guys are just tuning in on YouTube, we appreciate you at The Sports Forum. If you're not already a subscriber, do us a favor, click that subscribe button. We appreciate you guys. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Sports Forum CO, and then at The Sports Forum on TikTok as well, for all you guys there. And if you're watching on Roku TV or Fire TV, we just signed with the 12 Ounce Sports Network. You guys can find us on channel 2 of 12 Ounce Sports. So make sure to go ahead and check them out. Give them a subscribe, do whatever you got to do there. Feel free to DM us if you have any further questions on that. And for all you sports bettors, you can find us at Blitz Sports Bets on Instagram and Twitter as well. Predominantly Instagram. Go ahead and check us out there. We got you guys covered on all sports bets. But once again, with no further ado, 2025 Masters. You see the three big dogs on the screen: Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, and Xander Schauffele. Now, two out of those three are the two favorites to win this tournament. Now, Xander Schauffele, he's still there. He's at number 5 right now, but he's not a top 3 guy on this board. You got Jon Rahm coming in the 3rd position, Colin Morikawa in the 4th position, and then Xander Schauffele from there. Bryson DeChambeau, we know this is his favorite tournament of the year. Every single year he's coming to play. Ludwig Aubert is on there. Justin Thomas, Brooks Koepka, a lot of the live guys, obviously, with this being a major, are going to be in the building, if you would, outside for this one. So once again, with no further ado, let's talk here about what to focus on in this Masters tournament, because once again, there's a lot to break down here in golf. As you guys know, there's so many different players in every single field, especially when you get a major. It is the best of the best. So you have to try to immediately narrow things down and give yourself a better shot at winning your predictions here for the Masters. So when it comes to just some straight up information about the Masters, now, I'm going to go ahead and put this on the big screen just so you guys can read it a little bit better. Now, the Masters, obviously one of golf's 4 major championships played on the same course every single year, arguably the most historic golf tournament in all of golf, going down there at Augusta National. If you haven't been, you got to get out there and go check that one out. But let's look at what you're going to need here at this course. Well, first of all, as you see, usually the best golfers get around this course the best. It's always kind of worked that way. In a lot of tournaments that we see, there's always a couple guys you've just never heard of on the board, and you're like, what is that guy doing there? It's Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, and then the next 4, you're like, huh? Who is that? Yeah, it doesn't really work that way with the Masters tournament. But one thing that I do agree with here, and we just talked about, they called it sticky. I think that's another word that they're going to use for pretty much just saying it's relatively always the same thing that seems to stick. And it is. It's the best golfers in the world leading the way. As you see here, they said from a horses for courses angle, there may not be a better candidate than the Masters tournament. I completely agree with that statement there. Now, one thing about the Masters, unlike a lot of other tournaments that you're going to see, is these massive scores in all these tournaments, minus 28, minus 30, minus 24. Yeah, the Masters doesn't work like that. We're going to see a lot of lower scores. Minus 15, honestly, is probably going to get the job done this weekend. I would say down to about minus 11, minus 12. We really should not see a winner come in at like a minus 8. That would be pretty surprising here. But over the 4 rounds, if you can shoot minus 3 or better on average at minus 12, you should at least be in the final pairing there at the very end, competing for it with just a few holes to go. Now, if someone can get up to 15, 16s, that guy's probably going to win. I don't believe we see two scores break 15 this weekend. One guy might get there. So it's just one of those things where first couple rounds, obviously, you got to make it through. You got to get yourself in contention going into round number 3. But if you do that, you really only got to shoot about even-ish in the first 2 rounds. If you can shoot a -1 in the first round, a -2, -3 in the second round, you're playing pretty darn well and you're going to be alive here. What you can't afford is you really can't end the first day anything worse than +2, or in my opinion, you can't win this tournament. And that's really because you can't shoot a -7 in a day at the Masters. I mean, I shouldn't say you can't because, Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm, these guys exist, but it's very, very difficult to try to get that done. So once again here, let's go ahead and pull up what's going on with a little bit more information here. We're going to go ahead and scroll on down this article. Once again, this article is coming in from golf.com. So appreciate them as always bringing a lot of the best information on tournaments and everything like that. So they're also going to use the word chalky here. We saw them use sticky to start things out. They're calling it a very chalky tournament, meaning that players at the top of the odds boards usually shine. As we said, as it says here, we haven't had someone win a triple-digit odds since Charles Schwartzel at 101 in 2011. That's insane, guys. In 14 years, we haven't seen someone at 101 or more win a tournament. Never seen, a 200 to 1. It just doesn't happen. So with all that said, my biggest thing about the Masters here is the way that this course plays. It plays we keep going back to a good golfer, but you have to be good. You have to be good all around. You have to be able to drive well. You have to have power in your shots. If you try to play it too safe, you're just not going to get down the course enough. You're not going to give yourself birdie opportunities. You're one mistake away from something bad. But at the same time, over the years, we've seen guys like Bryson DeChambeau, who just hit it as hard as they can. Obviously, Bryson's kind of changed up his method on that of his bulking stages. If you know, you know. But you still got to have power, but you can't just hit it as far as you can and go, okay, well, easy rough. I can get out of there. I can just get on the green with my second shot, whatever. Yeah, no, not in this tournament here. You got to get it on the fairway. If you're going to hit it in the rough, you got to get in the very, very thin stuff. If you shank here and you're in a danger territory, you're in a lot of trouble at the Masters. If you hit off the tee and you end up in the bad rough and you don't get a bogey, you did something right, because you're going to bogey. You're going to double bogey. It's a punishing course for the guys that aren't that accurate. So they got to be careful here. Then when it comes to the chip game, you got to have your irons dialed in. The caddies have to be on track here with their golfers in this tournament. I'm sure over the weekend, a couple of those hot mics, we're going to pick up a little bit of disagreement. A couple caddies saying, hey, man, you should do this. And the golfer's like, I don't know. It's not going to happen that way. We've seen that it's been very moist in Augusta, Georgia. So there's just a lot of different things going on there that are going to play in here to the factors. And we'll go over the weather here in just a minute and how it's going to change the play of the course. But overall, at the end of the day, when it comes to putting, I think everybody knows you can't 2-putt, 3-putt all weekend, or you can't win the Masters. You're not the best golfer in the world if you can't putt and make the big putts and make the 12-footers and the 15-footers and the 24-footers and the uphills, downhills. You have to find a way to make good putts. So what I'll say is, when it comes to the overall golfer, of the big 3 things, iron play, driving off the tee, power/accuracy, and putting, well, you have to have putting. That's a number 1. Number 2, I think I'm going to go ahead and give it here to the driving, because once again, if you put yourself in a danger spot, you're cooked, man. I mean, you're just in big trouble. Iron play, once again, if you drive well and you putt well, you can have a little bit of leeway there with the irons coming out the sand, et cetera, et cetera. So once again, looking here at the weather in this tournament, we've seen over the weekend, it's been very moist early this week in Augusta. Forecast calling for low 70s, very little wind Thursday through Sunday. So that's really nice for these golfers here. The over-under right now is set at 276.5. We'll go over those numbers here in just a little bit. It's very, very similar to the previous tournament score. So they're thinking very normal conditions here. 11.5 under par is the projection. I just said 11 or 12, I think, could get this done. 11, I don't know. I mean, obviously, according to the odds, maybe that feels a little bit low to me. I think we're going to see somebody in the realm of 12 to 15 for the win. But once again, if you're at 11 with 3 holes to go, I definitely think you have a chance to win the tournament at that point. So we'll see what happens there. But once again, weather, not a major concern here. Very good for the bettors in this tournament. You don't have to all of a sudden, just go look up the wind stats and how everybody plays in the wet or the dry or the windy. So you're really, really getting to bank on just the best golfers in the tournament. But let's talk here about the previous winners here. And a lot of these guys are obviously playing in the tournament this weekend. Scotty Scheffler is the reigning champion. Shocker. He is the #1 golfer in the world, but he's not off to a hot start the way that he has been over the last season, especially, and even the season before that. So the door's open here. Now, he's due, so be careful, because the day you fade Scotty Scheffler, he might punish you. But as of right now, Scotty Scheffler is not playing the best golf of anybody on tour. The best golfer on tour at this very minute is Rory McIlroy. He's as hot as can be. If you guys haven't watched the Full Swing Show yet, you got to go check out the Full Swing Show, one of my favorite shows that goes down on Netflix. If you haven't seen it before, lucky you. You get 3 seasons. They just dropped season 3. Season 1 is phenomenal. It'll get you hooked. Season 2 is really awesome. And season 3 just dropped, and it's a really good one as well. So make sure to go watch that. You get a lot of insight on the golfers, learn a lot of the background, and not just as a fan, but as a sports bettor. There is some true information in that show that's very, very interesting and important. And in my opinion, you should pay attention to it. Where these guys live, their workout routines, their prepping routines, their current caddies for the year, just a lot of things that you don't just know if you don't pay attention to golf. So don't think you're going to just see the Masters, throw out a random bet, and have a great weekend. You're probably going to lose your ass. So just a little bit of advice from me to you. Do your homework for the Masters. It takes time to learn golf. But once again, looking here, Scotty Scheffler, the 2024 winner, finished at -11. Year before that, Jon Rahm, who is playing in this tournament, once again, the 3rd favorite on the board, -12 when he won in 2023. Scotty Scheffler won it again in 2022, -10 there for Scotty in that one. Hideki Matsuyama, 2021 at -10. And then that random crazy year in 2020 with DJ coming in there at -20. We could keep going, but I think at the end of the day, the last 5 winners are what's the most important. And I think that, the last 3 years, especially with Scotty, John, and Scotty again, Scotty obviously looking for his 3rd Masters green jacket, but a lot of other guys looking to get one as well. Rory McIlroy, once again, is the 2nd favorite on the board. You got Scotty Scheffler plus 400 right now. Rory at plus 650, John at 13-1, Colin Morikawa 17-1, Xander Schauffele 18-1. We'll go over our bets here in just a few minutes, but I told you guys 276.5 was the total listed for the over-under. Well, when Scotty won it, it was 277 last year. That was the over. When John won it, 276. That was the under. And then once again, 11.5. Same thing there. Now, it's actually a flip of the script there with those 2 numbers, but you get the point. 1 year that hit, 1 year that hit, and vice versa here. Then the 2 years before that, the under hit on strokes both years, but the total hit on the over at the 276.5, hitting 278. So there's just a lot of fluctuation here to pay attention to. So a lot of different interesting stuff here. I think the odds makers have absolutely nailed the totals here, whether it's the score, the total, etc., etc. Scotty being the favorite at 4-1. It makes sense here, but 4-1 at the Masters for all tournaments, pretty crazy. I mean, this ain't the Valero Open. This is the Masters. So anyway, with all that said, guys, let's go ahead and jump into some bets here, because I know you guys are jumping in your boots wanting some bets here. So what I do want to pull up really quickly here for you is some of the experts picks. Now, this is coming from PGAtour.com expert picks. If you guys haven't looked at these before, they really do get their experts. This isn't a scheme or anything like that. This is some of the caddies, some ex-golfers. Obviously, as you see here, some lead hosts, some fantasy hosts, some betting analysts. They give their picks here, and the PGA is kind enough to put it out there for the world to see. So you got Will Gray here. He's taking Collin Morikawa at 16-1. Now, Collin is 17-1. I'm using DraftKings today, so he's 17-1 on DraftKings. Always search your lines. Make sure you guys find top value on all of your betting lines. But once again, with that said, Collin Morikawa is the 4th favorite on the board, as he says there. He said, "I'm doing it again. I can't help myself." What he's talking about is Collin Morikawa continuing to hang in there, but not quite getting it done. He is playing very, very well. I see what he's doing here. As he says, well documented. No one is hitting the ball better than Collin Morikawa this year, including Rory McIlroy, who Rory McIlroy has the best swing in all of golf. So that's saying something. Also getting progressively better on greens. To me, that's the one thing that's kind of burning Collin Morikawa this year, is just when he needs the big time putts, he's not finding them. But I do agree, he is looking a little bit better on the green. I think that's a good pick there, Collin Morikawa for Will Gray. And I really like his long shot pick here with Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry is one of my favorite long shot golfers almost on a weekly basis. Shane Lowry, a very sleepy good golfer here. He said, "Imagine the riots if someone from the Irish wins this week and it's not Rory McIlroy." I agree with that. Lowry does have plenty of major pedigree, as he says here. Also, at Augusta, he quietly boasts top 20 finishes in 5 of his last 6 starts on tour. He's got experience. He's playing good golf right now. He looked really good once again on the Full Swing Show. I believe in Shane Lowry, but I'm going to go ahead and say this. I like the 35-1. And I'm not against it here, but first of all, he's 45-1 on DraftKings. So once again, guys, you got to search your best odds in golf. They fluctuate a lot, but I like Shane Lowry for the first round leader instead of the winner of the tournament. Shane does usually play really good to open up tournaments. And if he doesn't make a late run and win anyway. So for me, I like Shane Lowry here at about 45-50-1 for the first round leader, depending where you're looking. Once again, it's a good spot for Shane. It gives you some first round action and you get to play that out. And then I really, really love the Collin Morikawa pick at 16, aka 17-1 to go ahead and win this. That's from Will Gray. Now, his props, he's going to go, I'm not going to talk about this prop because I'm not huge on this prop. I get the value here, the plus 250 on Langer to go ahead and make the cut, but I'm going to stay off that bet personally. Now, Will Zalatoris, this dude is one of my favorite golfers. Now, he's taking him top 10. I really like Will for the top 20 in this tournament. As you see here, outside of a withdrawal, Zalatoris has never finished outside the top 10 at the Masters. Amen to that. I see the value. I like it at 10, but I think if you want to play it really safe, take Will Zalatoris for the top 20. I think he's going to go into the final round sitting right around 12th to 18th. So if he has a good final round, he could punch the top 10. But to me, top 20, you still get really juicy odds on Zalatoris. He's worth it. But try to find him at plus 200 or better for a top 20 finish at the Masters tournament. Now, moving on through here, here's some interesting picks for you. Chris Brees, senior content manager, and works at Golf Bet here. He's taken Scotty Scheffler, and obviously I can't disagree with this pick here. He said, forget about the short odds. Pretty much it does not matter. Why not pick him? He hits on all metrics. Yes, he does. Now, with that said, like I mentioned, Scotty has not played great lately, but he's playing really good golf. And I think sometimes in golf, we get caught up in guys not winning tournaments and saying, oh, he's not the same. He's not the same. Bro, what he did last year is not repeatable. It's not repeatable. He's still playing great. He's still making tons and tons of money. But I agree with Chris here saying, who doesn't want to pick him? You're wasting your time if you don't. I agree. I think Scotty Scheffler, if you don't put him on a ticket, you're making a mistake. Hedge all of your bets by taking Scotty to win, and you're okay. Then he's taking Will Zalatoris for the win at 55-1 odds. Now, let me see what I have him at. 65-1 odds on DraftKings. So once again, 10-1 better on DraftKings. That's huge, huge value, guys. As you see, he mentioned it there as well. Tied 6th, tied 9th. Masters tournament, it's one of those tournaments he plays well every year. His counterpart right above is taking top 10 for Will. I said top 20 for Will. So why not sprinkle Will for the win here? I agree with that. He's getting back in form. Really good value on him right now. Sepp Straka, Bryson Owens over at the Sports Forum tends to like Sepp Straka for these top 20 places, and I understand why. As you see here, he's been in the top 15 in 6 of his 9 starts so far this year, including a win, and last year tied 16th at the Masters at Augusta. So really, really positive results here from Straka, and not just that, but plus 200 on the odds. Tough to go against it. Now, here's a fun one for you. Top Englishman, Tommy Fleetwood at top plus 220. Holy smokes. I'm looking at the words here. I really like this bet, and I actually like him for top English player better than I like him for any other ticket. So I'm really happy that Chris took this bet here, and I think it's also showing how smart Chris is of a bettor. I think every one of his picks here makes a heck of a lot of sense. You can tell by what he's writing. He understands what he's talking about. And for him to take him for the top English, this is someone who pays attention to sports bets. Most people don't even know you can bet on things like this. Top Irishman, Englishman, top American, top all these different things you can do. That's a good pick. Top Englishman, Tommy Fleetwood, plus 220. Go ahead and take that one there. Then you got another senior content manager at GolfBet, Casey Johnston, taking Colin Morikawa. We already talked about that. It's worth it. Best ball striker in the world at the moment. Take it. Now, Casey, my brother. Or my sister, I guess. Justin Thomas, 22-1. He said we're not diving deep into the bag for Augusta. JT's been great all of 2025. I agree. Kind of like Colin Morikawa. I believe he's due for a big-time win. Now, notching 4 top 10s in 8 starts here, including 2 runner-up finishes. Flirted with some strong play at Augusta before. I agree. I think Justin Thomas is kind of a hit-or-miss player this weekend. You could take him for a top 20 play, and I think you should take him for a top 20 play, but taking him to win is not a bad bet at all. He's 22-1 according to our man here, but I'm going to go ahead and find him at 26-1. So 26-1 on Justin Thomas. Really good value here. If JT's putts fall this weekend, he has a chance to win this tournament. We'll see what happens there. Otherwise, he'll probably miss the cut by 1 stroke. That's just kind of how he plays, but I think he'll be okay. He's taken Aaron Rai for the top debutante at plus 650. I'm not going to take that bet probably, but just the plus 650 alone, it's a sneaky bet. I like it. I get it. Corey Connors, top 10, plus 400. Interesting one here. The Canadian is looking really good. I think you could take Corey Connors for the top Canadian. I think it's not a bad bet. If I was going to put Corey Connors on a ticket, however, I would try to find him for a top 20 and or a top 40 this weekend. I'm not that high on Corey Connors, but the guy can be a relatively sneaky bettor and go ahead and escape you with some really good odds there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the odds here on DraftKings and give you guys my top bets of the weekend. There's so many different things you can bet here. You can bet top finishes, first round leader, who's going to make the cut, who's going to miss the cut. We're going to go ahead and focus on the simple ones here. We're going to go with our winner, top 10, top 20, long shot, and maybe one more. We'll go ahead and figure that one out here in just a minute. But let's go ahead and look at the odds. Like I mentioned here, Scotty Scheffler on top, Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm, Colin Morikawa, and the list goes on. One guy that nobody brought up there in those expert picks is Ludvig. I freaking love Ludvig Åberg. This dude, to me, is a phenomenal golfer. Now, he didn't look great last weekend, but I have a weird theory. I think he missed the cut on purpose. And I know it sounds really stupid, but Riggs, if they miss the cut, they don't make money, and their confidence isn't up going into the Masters weekend and all this stuff. I think he wanted to play 2 really competitive rounds. I think he had an okay first round, actually relatively fine first round. And then the second round, I was watching and he had multiple opportunities where I've seen him make all those shots before. And he just seemed to kind of not quite get there. And then he missed the cut by one. It felt honestly very, very purposeful to me. I think he wanted to get his competitive juices flowing, wanted to start to feel that competitive edge, but then he also wanted to get nice rest over the weekend and just make sure he was dialed in heading into the Masters. So I'm going to go ahead and say, watch out. 20-1 odds here. You can find him up to 24-1 odds between FanDuel, BetMGM, and a few other books. So make sure to do your research. But I really, really like this guy for a win this weekend. And I also really like him for a top 10 finish this weekend. Ludwig Oberg, make sure you go ahead and take a shot on him if you're feeling lucky. Then I'm going to go ahead here. And once again, I think you have to hedge with Scottie Scheffler for the win. Why not do it? It makes sense. Take a shot. Rory McIlroy, very, very popular pick this weekend. Actually, so far, the most popular pick this weekend. And I don't blame anybody for doing that. But I think Rory's due for a little bit of regression. He's had some crazy good runs. Hard to fade a guy as hot as Rory McIlroy. But the plus 650, it's just not doing it for me, man. So I'm going to go ahead and agree with a couple of the experts. And I'm going to go Collin Morikawa here at 17-1 odds. Really good value on Collin. And once again, a top 10 finish for him makes a lot of sense. Now, let's go ahead before we get into a little bit of a deeper play here on some long shots. And I want to talk about what we're going to do with the placing in this tournament, because there's a couple guys that I really like for the top 20. And the very, very first one is going to be my guy right here. Oh, where'd he go? He's falling down the board a little bit, Will Zalatoris. This is my guy right here, man, at plus 130. I know some of these guys are taking him to win. Some of these guys are taking him for a top 10. I think top 20 at plus 130. It holds relatively good odds. You can find it at plus 140. Really good value. The guy's playing well, but do I think he's going to win this weekend? 55 to 65 to 1, sure. But do I think he's going to win this weekend? Not really, but I can see it. So take him top 20, hedge your bets a little bit, really good plus money there, and just take a shot at it. But I do want to go ahead and give some more juicy plays for you guys before we get up out of here, because the first round leader is a bet that I smash a lot. And I'm looking to smash it again this weekend. The first guy that we're going to go ahead and take for a first round leader is this man right here, Bryson DeChambeau. This man right here, it's his favorite tournament of the entire season. He usually comes out playing pretty darn hot. I think at 30-1 odds, you're getting some really nice value there with Bryson. And then I'm going to go ahead and double down. Like I said, I'm going to go Shane Lowry at 45-1 odds for the first round leader. I know our expert took him for the win, and I understand that, but I think there's a lot bigger chance that he's leading after the first round than he's not leading after the first round, and then he goes on a late run and wins the Masters. I just don't see it. So we're going to go ahead and do that there. Shane Lowry 45-1 and Bryson DeChambeau at 30-1. I think it's worth sprinkling a little bit of a dog here for the first round leader, just because we usually see one kind of, oh, wow, really, that guy kind of sneak in there in the first round. I'm going to go with a guy who's won this tournament before. I want to say it was, 2022? That Matsuyama won it, 2023, 22, I think. Matsuyama here at 40-1 odds. This guy usually comes out really, really strong in the beginning of a tournament, or he's nowhere to be found. I think he has a chance here to hang early. I will not be surprised at the end of round one to see Hideki Matsuyama in the first position. But we're going to go ahead and close this out here, guys, with a long shot winner for all of you in this one. Now, we said long shots don't usually win this tournament, and they usually don't. But I'm a little bit surprised to see Tom Kim at 100-1. No one since 2011 has won this tournament at 100-1. Tom Kim, the young blood, could go ahead and find a way to pull this thing off. So that's my picks for you guys in this one. Masters tournament, this tournament going down the 10th through the 13th, starts Thursday bright and early in the morning. So make sure, as always, to get your bets in with plenty of time. Once again, you guys can find us at winnable.com/blitzbetting on the bottom of the screen there, sportsforummedia.com, at sportsforumco on all socials, and at Blitz Sports Bets on all socials as well. Until the next one, I'm Riggs Tamburo. Good luck this weekend, folks. Let's cash some tickets.